This is Talk Sport Extra Time, and I'm delighted to announce that it's that time of the week when we hear from the two Mikes. I'm one of them, of course, and the other one is here as well. It's Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yes, good morning, Mike. It's great to be with you again.
Welcome back, I have to say.
Welcome back indeed. Yeah, it was great to be with you for an extended version
Yes,
last...
we've got another one coming up on Thursday night,
Friday morning, certainly have on Thursday night, Friday morning, and I want to say... thanks to everybody for the reaction to that spectacular.
Yeah, well, don't spend too much time on it, because we haven't got so much time tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Well, don't spend too much time being magnanimous and all that. Nobody believes you are anyway.
I was about to pay you a tribute there, but I won't bother. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll talk a bit later on in the show about how older fathers, that's what you are, produce very ugly children. And I want to apologise
That's pretty good coming from you.
I want to apologise to your children in advance, because, of course, they are two delightful little boys who are innocent of any crime in the world whatsoever, except for
very
having
good looking as well, by the way.
A rather overweight and ugly father, but that's not their fault.
Well, it could be worse, as far as they're concerned.
Now, let's get on to the fact that
arrogance.
You've been...
Yes.
Well, arrogance is a good subject. It's a really good subject. And I think you're kind of wrong, and I'm not surprised that Rodney Marsh, who, let's face it, is one of the greater brains amongst ex-footballers who look and analyse the game.
He's a very serious man. I thought he would have gone along with my view, which he didn't do. He disagreed with me altogether.
I wouldn't say Rodney's over-serious. I would say he's a deep thinker about the game because he's highly intelligent, okay? Yeah. In fact, Rodney's so intelligent that sometimes I find it difficult to keep up with his political analysis of the way this country's run.
Me.
Well, Rodney and I did the World Cup together in Germany, 2006. Yeah. We spent hours and hours and hours deep into the night in a sort of political science school discussing the way the world works.
Whereabouts would you be doing that?
Oh, in a cafe in Munich, something like
coffee?
Over coffee into the early hours, discussing the structure of the German Reichstag, if it's still called the Reichstag.
No, it's not. No, don't call it that anymore.
Well, the German
it's got kind of a bit of a difficult connotation.
It certainly has, yeah.
I think you'll find.
And anyway, they burnt that one down, didn't they?
They did.
And the German Parliament, then, for want of a better word, I know the Bundesliga is the German league. I'm not sure what the German Parliament's called, but it's not the Reichstag.
Well, you must have had some really... This must have been a fascinating conversation you were having about the Reichstag and the German Parliament you couldn't name.
Well, it's not that. It's not that. It's just that it's in German.
Must have been just like question time.
No, it's called the German Parliament, but I mean, it's just that I don't speak fluent German, not as fluent. It's the Bundestag. I knew it was something like the Bundesliga, because you've got the Bundesbank, which is the German bank, the Bundesliga, German league, and the Bundestag, which is the German Parliament. See? So I knew that. You're just confusing me by going on about...
Bundes stands for?
About the Bundesliga. It means centre. Central. Central. That's what it means.
Okay.
Major.
Right.
It means major primer.
Right.
Right, okay, we've got that sorted out.
Somebody's obviously feeding you some of this information. You seem much more highly informed than you normally are.
No, not at all. Now
I'm going to have to put a stop to that.
Now then, you're going on about lack of arrogance amongst English players.
Yeah, well, it's not my argument, it's Leonardo's argument. Well, Leonardo is a guy who I think, regardless of what some people may think of him, is a very highly respected football figure. He's won the World Cup, he's managed Inter Milan, he's managed AC Milan, as I was saying earlier, he's now the director of football at Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
I mean, people should know that this guy knows what he's talking about.
Okay, so what about Sturridge? Would you say Sturridge is an arrogant player?
I would say he has that kind of arrogance.
Thank you.
Daniel Sturridge,
Thank you. Of course he does. What about the back heel that led to the third goal? Was it second, third? No, third, yeah.
I'd say Daniel Sturridge definitely possesses it.
Well, exactly.
And if we had more players like that...
And he's an English player.
Yeah, he is. And if we had more players like that, I think we would be a much stronger nation football-wise.
What about Wayne Rooney?
I think Wayne Rooney does have it, yeah.
Of course he does.
Have you not been listening to what I've been saying?
Yes, I have. But
I said Rooney and Sturridge about the only two.
But you didn't put any facts into it, did you? Now,
well, there are no facts.
There are facts. I'll tell you some facts.
How can you prove that somebody's arrogant?
I'll tell you. I'll give you some proof about Rooney's arrogance, right?
Okay.
Shortly after Rooney scored the goal against Arsenal, which brought their long run of undefeated games to an end, and in fact put himself on the world footballing map with a magnificent goal that beat David Sim, came screaming down off the underside of the bar, in an Everton shirt, of course.
Yes.
A few days later...
remember that goal. Even I remember that goal.
Back at the training camp, Rooney was still a 16-year-old boy, and he was still amongst apprentices and that kind of stuff. And he was doing what young footballers do. They were chipping footballs onto the back of the heads of their coaches, you know, as a bit of a laugh, because they do like to wind them up and humiliate them, you know.
Right.
And one of the coaches turned round after getting a ball bashed on his bonce and nearly knocked over, and there were three lads there all grinning. One of them was Rooney, and he turned round. He said, "Was that you, Rooney? Was that you? You just shipped that ball on my head. Was that you, Rooney?" And because they knew Rooney could do that kind of thing. It was definitely one of the coaches. Right. And Rooney just grinned and said, "No, sir, it wasn't me." And the coach said, "If I find out it was you, Rooney, I'm telling you something, son. You'll be back in the youth team on Saturday. Do you understand?" And Rooney just smiled and said, "No, I won't be." So, I mean...
well, that's true.
So that is the level of arrogance which Wayne Rooney has grown up
but the interesting thing is,
and which he's entitled to have.
Well, he is, but as I say, it's not about necessarily the arrogance of youth or the arrogance of how people are, when they speak to people, because people have said, well, how can you describe Lionel Messi as arrogant? He's one of the most humble guys around. And yes, he is, but not when he's on the football field.
No,
when he's on the
not.
football field, he's killer. He's got a killer instinct, he's got a killer punch, he wants to humiliate you, and he wants to make you look stupid. That, to me, is football arrogance.
His arrogance takes him around players, literally, because he believes he can do it, knows he can do it, he does it, and he does it well. And the arrogant, there's a difference between being outwardly arrogant and inwardly arrogant. And I would say he's inwardly arrogant.
Yes. Well,
he doesn't have to be outwardly arrogant because he's so good at what he does.
What he does proves that he is the greatest footballer in the world, and Ronaldo has the same feeling, and so does Ibrahimovic. You might not say Ibrahimovic is quite as good.
Ibrahimovic is very arrogant.
But some of the stuff that he attempts is absolutely extraordinary.
Absolutely extraordinary. Would you say David Ginola was arrogant?
I would say probably.
Bearing in mind I'll be doing the show with him on Wednesday morning, Mr. Brazil.
I would say he's a little bit cocky.
I wouldn't. I'd say that he has absolute justification in the bold and confident attitude he has towards life. I would say he has every right to do it for a number of reasons. Firstly, he was a great footballer.
Yeah, he was.
He was a star in France. He was born in Saint-Tropez.
Very handsome, of course, as well.
I was going to say, a very good-looking man, born in Saint-Tropez. Just imagine saying, where were you born? And I say, Chester. Oh, where's Chester? Well, it's a town 20 miles from Liverpool in England. Really? Imagine it being...
It's a Roman town. Why don't you call it a Roman town? Why should you be ashamed of that?
I'm not ashamed of it at all. It's a fantastic place to grow up.
And
it's got Roman walls, it's got medieval buildings. Yeah. I mean, it has shaped my character.
It's got a Best Western that looks like a Tudor castle, I seem to remember.
I don't know about Best Westerns, but it shaped my character because I became a student of international history through being brought up in Chester, because I was walking on the path that Julius Caesar walked on, and that, really stimulates your brain.
Yeah.
Getting back to David, imagine going around the world.
David Ginola has walked in the footsteps of Brigitte Bardot.
Well, I was about to say.
Although he wasn't technically born in Saint-Tropez, it's just a little town next to Saint-Tropez.
Called?
I can't remember.
Juan Le Pen.
Juan Le Pen, okay.
Juan Le Pen, okay. And,
I don't think he was born there either.
And that is even better. Yeah, no, of course it is. Of course he was. And that's even better. Anyway, look.
Have you been down there?
Have I been down where?
Saint-Tropez.
I haven't done the south of France a lot, to be honest. No, I haven't.
What do you mean a lot? You've either done it or you haven't.
Well, the thing is, I've done football matches in Monaco.
Yeah.
And Marseille, right? But I haven't actually ever
the French Riviera. Then
I've never
been to Nice.
Yeah, I have been to Nice because to get to Monaco, we had to go to Nice.
Yeah,
didn't
you
we?
would fly to Nice.
That's right. Yeah, and then get a helicopter to Monaco and all that kind of stuff.
You don't have to get a helicopter. You can drive along the Corniche.
We got a helicopter.
Did you?
And it is nice, an esplanade on the front and all that. And it's you see all these.
Why did you get a helicopter?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, because I was with Alan and we just decided...
It just goes over a helicopter.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. So anyway, now the point of my story is this. Absolute wealth there, and there's the marina where all the yachts are, okay? Yeah. I remember standing there and I saw this beautiful girl, she's about 6'2", in a white bikini, and she came down the gangplank off a yacht, right? And she strolled over to a white Rolls-Royce. She had a white bikini on, the yacht was white.
Right.
Everything was white about this life of hers. And she opened the door of the Rolls-Royce and reached in and pulled out a packet of Saint-Marit cigarettes, put it in her mouth and lit it.
Ridiculous.
Yes, put it in her mouth and lit it. Oh, what are you telling me?
You must have made this up.
I'm not making it up. And then she walked back up the gangplank. I could see them. I was standing about, 30 yards away.
Were you stalking her or something?
No, I wasn't stalking her. I was looking at all the yachts and trying to work out who was on which one and all that kind of stuff and which one
were
we
going to ask her for a cigarette?
Well, I'm not that sort of guy. I don't go around asking women in bikinis for cigarettes, you know? No, not very often.
No, you should do if you're in the south of France.
Well, is that what you do?
No, that's not what I do, because I'm not looking for the next Mrs. Parry.
Anyway, look, we should be talking about this fantastic game that's going to happen tonight. Manchester United versus Manchester City. You and I have decided that Manchester United are going to win it.
Well, I haven't decided that at all. No,
you told me that outside.
No, I did not tell you that.
Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Oh, excuse me, money.
Yeah, what about it?
Money.
What money?
Did you find your wallet?
Well, I never lost my wallet. I just left it in the wrong place.
Oh, and have you brought it in?
I've got my wallet, yeah.
Oh, and do you not remember this time last week I gave you £100?
Oh, yeah, you did,
yeah.
No, I haven't got the money.
Are you going to give me...
No.
What do you mean you haven't got the money?
No, I haven't got it.
What do you mean you haven't got it?
Well, I didn't take the money out to give you.
Well, when are you going to give it to me?
I'll give it to you, next time I see you.
Oh, do you mean? Oh, supposing I need it. Supposing I need it between now and Thursday.
Well, I'll see you on Thursday. I'll give it to you then.
Well, I might need it on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Take your own money. You've got your own money, haven't you? What's the matter with you?
Well, I have got my own money, but I'd prefer to use my money that you've got rather than me having to go to the bank again and get more money out. I lose interest on that because you've pocketed and trousered £100 in my dog.
Well, you very kindly gave me £100 to help me through last week because I didn't have my wallet with me.
And what's the response I get? What's the thanks I get for it?
I just forgot to bring the money in. What's the problem? problem?
Total snobbery.
What is the problem with that? I mean,
Let's talk about this game.
Perhaps someone have a whip round for you. Get somebody to wait to meet you outside.
Good idea. Well, that's your responsibility. You're the debtor, not me.
I'll bring it to you on
Neither a lender nor a debtor be. That's what somebody told me once.
It's a bit late for that because you've loaned me £100.
That's right. I know. I made a mistake there.
Now, anyway, so what you said to me was, I think Manchester United can win this. I think they could win it.
Yes.
I don't think they will win it, however, because I just think that, despite the fact that David Moyes has had a reasonably good week by his standards, Manchester City are very, very good, aren't they?
City are excellent, but I think Manchester United are now on a roll.
Yeah, but they've got no Van Persie.
And they've got no Van Persie, I agree, but they didn't have a Van Persie, did they, against Olympiacos? Now, what I was going to say is...
Yeah, they did. He scored 3 goals.
Sorry?
He scored a hat-trick.
What am I talking about?
You're talking about West Ham.
West Ham, thank you very much indeed, when they won 2-0.
Well, there's West Ham on the one hand, and there's Manchester City on the other hand.
Yeah,
I don't think you can really compare the two.
You're right to point out that Van Persie scored a hat-trick against Olympiacos. Thank you very much.
He didn't play.
No,
he was a phantom.
No, listen.
You get a bit confused.
There's a lot going on in my head.
I think you were getting confused over the weekend as well, because you were sending out these messages on social media, right, telling everybody that wished to know, the many, many thousands of tens of thousands of followers that you've got, that I was somehow, saying that Wayne Rooney's goal was easy, which I never said, by the way.
You told me
I never said that.
Hang on. We're going to get down to the kernel of this, right? You told me on Sunday morning, you told me you were going out to play football with your boys, and you were going to try and replicate the Rooney goal, because you said, you had 2 theories. One, he said...
Where are you getting all this from?
From you talking to me on Sunday morning on the phone. You said,
it wasn't me you were talking to.
For £300,000, you should be able to do that more than once a season. And secondly, you said, how about this? You said, well, the only reason Rooney attempted it was because he thought the referee had blown and he was kicking the ball away.
You must have been listening to somebody else on Talk.
I was listening to you.
This was not me, because I would never say that. I realised it was a great goal. I realised it was a very difficult one to do. And in any event, I wasn't able to take the kids out to play football because I had to meet a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for a long time later on that day. So, and there was hailstorms going on.
Sorry, where did you go with this friend? Where did you go with this friend?
I went to Pevensey Bay, which is a place not far from where I am.
To look at the bay?
No, because it was very cold.
So where did you go?
We were in a pub.
In a pub all day?
Yeah. Not all day, no.
So you could have been playing football with your sons?
No,
who were enthralled, these 2 little lads, their eyes bright
I sent them off with that ridiculous plane you bought them.
Bright and sparkling after seeing the Wayne Rooney goal, this magnificent footballer who's going to become England's all-time top scorer, and you decided, no, my sons can whistle for it today, I'm off down the pub with my mate.
Well, I brought them along at the end. They came and met him as well later, but at the beginning, no, because obviously it was a sort of adult situation. I know you haven't got any friends, you don't understand this, but we'll talk more about this coming up very shortly. We are the 2 Mikes. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. More next.
I don't know.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. Together we are the 2 Mikes. And of course, there is a podcast coming out a little bit later on. I've got a text here, Mike, from Andy.
Yeah.
Andy in Falkirk. He says, can you feel the love tonight? I love this time of the morning with you guys, which is a very nice thing to say.
Can you feel the love? What love?
Well, I don't know what love he's talking about, because you've been pretty horrible about, 1, my children, 2, my role as a father,
yes.
and you've been telling all these ridiculous stories about what I said to you on Sunday morning, none of which I said.
By the way, whose song is that? That's a great song that brings you back at 2:30.
Well, it's called Catch Your Own Train.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I can't remember the name of the band, but I chose it because I heard it actually on. It's actually from Breaking Bad. It's part of the soundtrack of Breaking Bad. Which I don't know whether you've ever heard of.
Do you know anything? Anyway,
well, I know that Robin Van Persie played against Olympiacos and scored a hat-trick, which you seem to have somehow wiped from your memory banks.
No. I've got so much going on in my head that it's sometimes they just get in the wrong order.
Not least the voices.
The voices. Right, here we go. Children of older dads more likely to be ugly.
What is this?
So that's not me making it up. This is me telling you. Right.
Oh, well, so this is a headline you found?
Yeah. No. This is a proper story. I do my research, right? Children of older dads more likely to be ugly. So you really have given your boys the worst possible start in life. Dr. Fielder of Vienna University led a study which compared photographs of 4,018 men and 4,416 women. 6 men and 6 women were shown the pictures and asked to rate the men and women's attractiveness. Those with older fathers were consistently rated less attractive than those with younger fathers.
Yet another one of these ludicrous studies that gets done, which proves absolutely nothing. All it proves is that there is a sort of difference in the way that people perceive other people's looks. I mean, how do you think people would describe you, for example? Do you think they describe you as ugly or handsome?
No.
How would they describe you?
I have always been described as that man with the lived-in face. Okay? What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
The lived-in face.
What are you laughing at?
I think it was living in your beard. I think
No. The man with the lived-in face. I think that's quite nice.
Have you ever been described as ugly?
No, rugged. Lived-in face, rugged. Weather beaten,
yes.
i.e., seen a bit of life and all that kind of stuff.
Touch of the Captain Birdseyes about you.
Well, there might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Captain Birdseye was a good guy. Captain Birdseye introduced like tens of millions of children to the most nutritious food in the world.
Well, fish fingers.
Fish fingers.
Right.
And I.
You had any lately?
I eat a packet at a time, once a week, and they're very, very good.
A packet of what? 20?
No, 12.
Packet of 12.
Only
okay.
12, yeah.
Right.
And
12 fish fingers at a time.
Yeah, of course I do.
That's ridiculous.
Salt and lemon, and sometimes with a few.
Salt and lemon. Don't make it sound like it's an oyster bar experience.
No. But what I'm saying
What
is.
do you have with them?
Peas, but not mushy peas full of all that
just
gluten.
ordinary peas, yeah.
Frozen peas.
Yeah, don't tell me you take them out of a can.
No. I take them out of a plastic bag in the freezer.
Chips?
No. Now, you see, it's funny you mentioned that. You see this report about fish and chips and you're not supposed to eat them with your hands and all that kind of stuff. Fish suppers must be eaten. I mean, what a load of nonsense, because we all know we eat them. That's why I walk around with a packet of wet ones in my jacket all the time.
Hang on, last time we talked about this, you said to me that you agreed with that army guy who said that people shouldn't be eating food with their hands. So now you're saying it's the opposite.
No, unless they clean them afterwards. I said that I do that with fish and chips, but I always have a packet of wet ones, which I use to wipe my hands afterwards. However, when I go to fish and chip shops, I never get any chips anymore. I just get the main course, you see what I mean? Like the fish.
What, the fish?
So
have you given up chips?
Yes, I have largely.
Why?
Instead of having fish and chips, I'll have 2 pieces of fish, which is much better for you.
Well, it probably is, yeah.
It
probably is. But the point is, this story is about Liverpool, isn't it? Where Liverpool City Council are apparently coming out and saying that if you're going to be sitting outside a place of, high repute or low repute.
Cafe Society, Liverpool,
Liverpool, you need to have a knife and fork. That's bonkers.
Yeah, I'm not
Why
sure
should you have
about
a knife and fork? I mean, you don't even eat fish and chips with a knife and fork.
Well,
the whole point is you eat it with your hands.
I think you eat them in your hands if they're a takeaway and you take them home or something like that. But I do think it's a bit.
Yeah, but
revolting.
this is the reason apparently they're saying this is because so many people discard the wrappers. I mean, that's another terrible British
discard
disease,
the wrappers,
throwing the wrappers without putting them in a bin.
They never wash their hands afterwards. So these filthy people with batter and fish and everything, chips stuck under their fingernails and all that, going around, environmentally polluting the whole of the city of Liverpool, which is not a city that should be polluted.
Did you see that story about Gary Neville, by the way? Where he's admitted eating 5 chips
Absolutely marvellous.
a week.
Absolutely marvellous.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because it's almost as though he's admitting this as if it's something really horrendous. You know, it's like admitting to, kind of committing a crime.
5 nights a week?
It was 5 nights a week when he was a kid. He said when he was a lad, he said we'd have our tea at 4:30, so by 7 p.m. we'd be hungry again. I'd go for 29p chips and gravy at the very least. So he'd basically go to the chip shop every night after he'd had dinner.
Well,
that's extraordinary.
At the height of my sort of singleness, if you see what I mean, as a single man.
Isn't that still the way it is now?
Well, not really.
I mean, when is it sort of peaked and troughed?
Well,
exactly?
well, no. Although I am defined as single on all these forms you have to fill in because I never got married, I don't actually live a single man's life. I live the life of a distinguished man, if you see what I mean.
Whereas it doesn't have a box for that, does it?
Well, I don't know. But whereas when
single, divorced, married, distinguished. I've never seen that.
It is distinguished. If you live in a penthouse, you drive around in a Merc.
I live in a penthouse.
I do live in a penthouse.
No, a penthouse is the top flat of a building which takes the entire floor. Yours does not.
It certainly does.
No, because you've got a corridor with about 7 other doors.
No. My one in Epsom is absolutely on its own. No. You're talking about the wrong house.
The one in Gosport's not on the top of the building either.
It's not quite at the top, but I mean
it's not a penthouse then.
Well, hang on. You can see the Isle of Wight. Right?
Well, you can see the Isle of Wight from the ferry. It doesn't make it a penthouse.
Listen, mate. You can see the Isle of Wight. You can see the whole of the harbour. You can see backwards to, Portchester.
Your 2 parking spaces.
Yeah, I've got 2 parking spaces as well.
I know, we've talked about that.
Anyway, look, the point of this story is, when I was at my height at my singledom-ness, right? Yeah.
Singledom-ness.
Yes, that's right, yeah. So, worked on an evening paper, right, and it was the Birmingham Evening Mail, worked in the district office in Redditch. Right. Great little town, Redditch, no problem at all, developing town, a new town, so to speak. And me and my mate, in Sangster, who sadly died some years ago of an aneurysm in the back of his head. It's terribly tragic. He had a new girlfriend. She was in the kitchen making the spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
And Ian came out of the shower, and he had what he always has in his 2 hands. He had a cigarette in his right hand, because he smoked about 60 a day, and he had a glass of whiskey in his left hand, and as he stood in the kitchen and was about to speak to her, he put the cigarette to his mouth, but then he fell backwards, and the whiskey smashed, and the cigarette went on the floor. He was 45 years of age, and he died instantly, just like that. It was terribly tragic, honestly, it really was. I know we have a laugh and a shout on this show, Mike, but it really was a terrible moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, point of my story is,
what is the point?
He was my mate, and when we finished work at sort of 4:30 every day, that's what that's the time you finish on an evening paper, we used to go to the Redditch Leisure Centre and play
a swim?
No, tennis.
Tennis?
Yeah, tennis. Yeah, we used to play tennis.
Indoor tennis?
No, outdoor tennis.
Tonsil tennis?
This is the summer. And the point is, we would only play for about 40 minutes, because at 5:30, by the time we got down there, got changed, you heard the rattle of the shutter opening. That was the bar opening, you see, inside the leisure centre.
So there wasn't much tennis played by then?
Not a lot, to be honest. So then we got in the bar, so we'd spend about 2 hours there.
So best of one set?
Well, yeah, probably. But anyway, the point of the story is, we would then get our mate to come and pick us up and take us to a boozer in a country area, Mapleborough Green, near where he lived, and then we'd have to get a taxi.
It's just like every night you do this?
Yeah, every night, yeah. And on the way home, we took the taxi to a place called Studley, because there was a new fish and chip shop there. We want to say new, it'd been open about a year or something like that. And this mate of mine, old Sangy, who's a great guy, he used to order, this is no joke, we'd either go back to his place or mine with a couple of bottles of wine. He'd order fish and chips with an extra fish, half a chicken, a steak and mince pie, a couple of battered sausages, and a saviola, or whatever it's called. What's the
Saveloy.
A Saveloy.
Saviola is a sort of Italian sausage dish.
Right, okay, yeah. And we'd go back and he'd eat the lot. I mean, it was astonishing. Absolutely astonishing.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry to hear about his death, but it doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Well, he was a heavy smoker. I think that's what did him in. But anyway, God rest his soul.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've got to take a little break. We'll be back with more from the 2 Mikes, Mike Parry and myself, Mike Graham, next. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. We are together, the 2 Mikes, and Mike will be back for that extended edition, of course, on Thursday night going into Friday for 3 whole hours. Now, tell me about this weekend, because aside from sort of slagging me off and making out that I was telling you things that I hadn't actually said, were you not down in Gosport this weekend?
I was.
In your other kind of, mansion, the place that you say has this panoramic view of the car
park. See the Isle of Wight.
And see the Isle of Wight and all of that. What about the football? Was there not a Gosport Borough team going up to Wembley for one of the biggest days out of everybody's life from Gosport? Well, why weren't you there?
Well, I don't support Gosport. I mean, I'm not trying to be unkind, but I support Everton, and if I've got a second team in Chester...
Oh, Chester. What about Barry? Did you not try and save them as well at one point?
I did. I tried to save Barry Town.
Why wouldn't Gosport have benefited from your presence up there?
Unfortunately, I had too many commitments down on the south coast this weekend. Otherwise, I'd have gone to Goodison to watch
so you didn't go there either?
Sorry?
You didn't go there either?
Well, if I was in Gosport, Mike, I wasn't in Liverpool, was I?
You go to the Newcastle game?
No, that's tomorrow night, and obviously I'm wishing Everton the best of luck, and they're getting very mouthy now about getting into the top 4 at the expense of Arsenal, so I'm really enjoying that. But no, the Gosport thing, all over Saturday, all over the town, there were people with their stands up selling Gosport Borough scarves and all that. Right. So we lost 4-0.
Did you buy one of those? Oh, we lost 4-0.
Yeah, we.
I thought you said you didn't support Gosport.
Well, I've been invited there a few times.
Well, why didn't you go?
To try and not liven the place up. That's being insulting. To try and add a.
They won't be inviting you back.
No, to add a bit of colour to the proceedings. Pizzazz, colour, call it what you want.
So what did you do down in Gosport then, while all of this stuff was going on?
I was having to meet people to sort things out, and
like what?
Well, things, Mike, I have investments and things that I have to look after and all that sort of stuff.
How are they getting on?
Well, hopefully with the Chancellor now all giving us more access to all our money and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you'll be able to get your hands on it soon, won't you?
Well, I'm hoping that other people get their hands on it, and therefore they start buying property, and the value of property starts shooting up.
Well, it is going up, isn't it?
Well, you would hope so. Anyway, once again, I was a hero down in Gosport. I've been a hero in Gosport before.
A hero?
I get off the ferry going over to Portsmouth, right, and I'm walking up...
That's the ferry that I went on.
Yes, that's the ferry
and
you
I
went
only found out I wasn't staying with you when you bought me a one-way ticket.
That's right, yeah, absolutely. I said,
it was at that moment that I realised that I wasn't coming back.
Yeah, you won't want to come back. Well, it's £2.80 one way and £2.80 both ways, but I gave you the one-way one. Anyway, point of the story is... I'm walking up the ramp, and there's not a lot of people around because they've all gone to Wembley, coming from the Gosport side.
Right.
So
were you going over to Portsmouth then?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I landed in Portsmouth, see, so landed. I mean, it takes 4 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite a nice little ride.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah. So I'm walking up the old...
Gangway,
and there's a young man there, and he's trying to get coins out of his pocket to put into the machine to buy a ticket to go the other way. And as I'm walking past, I see a sweet wrapper fall out of his pocket.
So you thought he was littering then?
Well, in a way, but it was accidental because he was fiddling around his pocket first. He didn't throw it down like that, so I didn't have a go at him.
Right.
And then he started to walk off, and then I looked at this toffee wrapper, and I thought, hang on, isn't it what I think it is? And it was a screwed up £20 note. Now, a normal person would have snaffled that. They'd have put his foot on it and stood there, waited till the kid had got to the bottom and got on the boat. Yes, they would.
That's rubbish.
Yes, they would, and they would have stolen it.
No, a normal person would have given it back to the guy.
No, a normal person would have stolen it.
What sort of twisted logic is that?
No.
I would like to think that nobody I know, no friend of mine, would not give that money back.
Human nature. Human nature is that most people would have thought, oh, and particularly as I was on the way to...
The fact that you've even considered that you would do that shows you, to me, that you've got a very twisted mind.
No, not at all. Anyway, the moment I see it, I shouted, "Hey, mate! Hey!" And he turned around and said, "Hey, come here, this is yours." And I didn't attempt to pick it up or touch it or anything like that.
No, you just had your foot over it.
No, I didn't have my foot over it at all.
Were you worried it was going to blow away?
I did actually put my foot over it because I thought it might blow away.
So you did. So
I wasn't trying to snaffle it.
What you're describing is you were thinking, well, if he doesn't know anything about this, I'm just going to keep that.
Absolute rubbish. Why would I have shouted to the boy and said, "Hey, you've dropped your 10
Well, maybe you felt guilty at the last minute.
He comes back and he says, "Oh God," he said, "thanks, mate. Oh, you've saved my life."
You were probably hoping that the ferry was going to depart with him on it, and he'd just been waving goodbye to me with the £20 note.
No. He said, "Oh, I'm going over the water to see me mate." He said, "I've been lost without that." "Oh, thanks, pal." Now, I mean, I felt at the time, should I have said, is it worth a reward? I mean, is it worth a drink or something like that? You see what I mean?
He should have given you a drink.
Well,
because you're giving him 20 quid back.
Well, sheer honesty, isn't it? Sheer honesty. I mean,
no, it's just decent human behaviour.
Just imagine if he'd have got off the other side and walked into a hub to meet his mate. "Oh, I'm going to have a few pints and all that." Put his hand in his pocket. No money. So I did save his day, didn't I?
Well, you did, but why do you expect something in return?
I can go into a pub in Gosport, right, and buy a pint of Ruddles beer for £1.65.
Really?
That's not bad, is it?
That's very cheap.
I was going to say.
Why is it so cheap?
Don't know, but it's...
got a sale on or something?
No, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. I was quite shocked because,
Well, it costs you £2.80 to get there, I suppose. That's why.
Well, no, that's on my side, you see. That's on the Gosport side.
Yeah, but if you're coming from Portsmouth...
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I suppose
everything revolves around you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, well, it has to,
If somebody said, how do you get to Gosport? You'd say, well, don't worry, I'm already there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way you are.
Well,
absolutely staggering. Well, I mean, I'm very glad you gave the guys money back. It does sound to me, by the way you've told the story, that it did cross your mind to keep the money.
No.
And it certainly crossed your mind that nobody would notice if you had your foot over money, you picked it up.
Not at all.
And then when you gave it back, you expected something in return. Shocking.
No, I didn't.
Absolutely
If it happened to me, I'd have said, "Oh, I owe you a drink." I'll get yourself a drink, something like that. That's because my human nature is like that.
Yeah.
But whilst I was, being heroic and showing the better side of human nature.
Heroic.
You were showing the worst side of human nature because I saw a picture you put out on Sunday in which you callously, maliciously and thoughtlessly set fire to a load of wet leaves and smoked some of your neighbours out of their homes.
No, not true at all.
Smoked them out of their homes.
No, I have an incinerator, right, because
an incinerator
is quite big.
Well, you mean a bin full of leaves that you set fire to? Is that
it's called an incinerator. Yeah,
it's not an incinerator,
it's got a proper lid on the top with a chimney, right? I bought it and it's got holes in the side. It's not a bin. If you try to put rubbish in it, it would all fall out.
Yeah, well,
it's a proper incinerator.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, the point is that
why'd you have to burn these leaves anyway?
Well, because the leaves had been dredged out of the pond because we've got this.
So
pond.
they're wet.
Well, they were wet. But
so they're going to.
Well, I got into a bit
smoke.
of trouble actually because the previous weekend the thing was we had this pond which is because the house hasn't been occupied.
I think we've heard this boring story about the leaves all going back in the water.
No, I haven't told this story.
I think you're
imagining things now.
Go on.
Anyway, we found out that there were like 5 goldfish in this pond, and they kept alive by the algae and everything like that. So the fact that it's all quite dark and murky is good.
Algae, I think it is.
Algae, I think you'll find.
I think it's algae.
Yeah, no, that's the guy that was in Biggles. Anyway, the point is so we dragged all these things out, but there were newts as well that were inside. You know what a newt is, don't you?
Yeah, of course I do.
Ken Livingstone used to keep newts.
Before they become a frog.
No, it's not. That's a tadpole.
Oh, is it? Well, it's the same thing, isn't it?
A newt is a sort of a reptilian-looking creature.
Well, they look the same.
They don't look anything like tadpoles.
Of course they do.
Anyway.
Of course they do. Newts and tadpoles are identical.
Anyway, there were loads there, right? So the kids didn't want me to set fire to any of the newts because obviously you'd hear the newts screaming like Silence of the Lambs, you know. Could you hear the newts screaming, Clarice? You remember that movie?
I've never seen it.
Okay. You haven't seen Silence of the Lambs?
No, I'll keep meaning to see it.
Anyway.
Don't like the look of it. I hate that line, I've seen it, in which he says he's going to take out somebody's liver, fry it, and then have it with a nice bottle of Chianti.
Yeah, and some fava beans.
Oh, God.
It's a great film. Anyway.
That would make me ill. That would make me ill.
Yeah, well, so the thing was, I pulled the leaves out, and in order to, because if you leave them by the side of the pond, the newts will crawl back into the pond, you see, if you leave them there for long enough.
Well, what's wrong with that? That's where they live, isn't it?
That's exactly what you want, but rather than being chucked onto a bonfire where they then burn and die a horrible death.
Yeah.
You know, so we didn't do that. So I left them there for a week, but then some of them blew back in. And so I was in a bit of trouble for that because I was told you should have put them somewhere else. Anyway, they dried out to a large extent by this weekend, and so I'd promised that, I had to get rid of them. So I put them in the incinerator, and yes, it was a little bit smoky for a while, but it's very rural down there. It's not as if you're living, cheek by jowl.
People who live in the country are weirdos.
Semi-detached. And, well, people have bonfires because there's stuff to burn. I mean, there is no point, for example, in putting a load of leaves into a plastic bag, which is manufactured in a factory, which causes all kinds of pollution, to then drive that bag down to the local dump and put it in a dump.
What happened when you set fire to these leaves? This is the point of the story.
Well, they gave off quite a bit of smoke.
No, tons of smoke. You polluted the local atmosphere.
No, because it was quite a windy day.
I'm all for building on the green belt to get rid of people like you who think that the country belongs to them.
The countryside.
The countryside belongs to you.
If it's on my property and I want to burn something, I'm going to burn it.
Why do you think all these villages, which are picture postcard villages, are all dying and the townies are moving in? It's because there's no local work for local kids, so they grow up and they move out. So you've got to make them more thriving communities. You only do that by building more houses, get more people living there, build some pubs, build some post offices, build some shops.
What do you think I live in the Gobi Desert?
Yeah. Well, you live in
60 miles from London.
You haven't got any Wi-Fi. You haven't got any Wi-Fi, have you? No, you haven't.
Yeah, no, I didn't have it when I first moved in.
Well, there you go.
This country, it takes a month to organise.
No.
There's no 3G. You don't know the difference, do you? Do you know the difference between 3G and Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, 3G's come before 4G, and Wi-Fi's around. Wi-Fi you can get in. You can even get Wi-Fi in bars in places like Durban in South Africa, because that's where we used to use it.
Imagine Durban, that place, that backward place has got Wi-Fi. How extraordinary!
No, what I'm saying
is, I got it there as well.
No, what I'm saying,
would believe it?
What I'm saying is, Wi-Fi is like in all civilised places, including Durban.
Yeah, it is. But it's also in my house.
But you haven't got it.
No, I have got it.
No, you didn't have it.
What I haven't got is, I didn't have it when you first move in, because everybody knows when you move house, the first thing that happens is there's a clash between whoever's organising the phone line and the internet.
Rubbish. I've got Wi-Fi where I live.
Congratulations.
Because
you don't know how to use it.
Because there's a mast nearby which sends it out. I don't have to have it put in the house at all.
If I lived near a mast, I'd be worried about that.
Why?
When I was living in Wiltshire, funnily enough, years and years ago.
Is that in the house where that got flooded all the time?
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Which you sold to some unsuspecting person?
Yes.
Who bought a house on a floodplain?
Yeah. Used to burn a lot of leaves there as well. In fact, I had such a big bonfire there.
This is a great house, comes with 2 feet of water in the kitchen. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, water feature, we call that.
Yeah.
I burned we used to have this huge, big kind of, Leylandii bushes, right? And some of them are about 10 feet tall.
They cause rows between neighbours.
So I used to set fire to them.
Yeah. For a bit of a laugh.
Well, yeah, anything to keep you out of the house, The ex-wife was in there. So I'd start burning this stuff, right? And the fire was so big that this smoke was drifting across the road.
You seem to have a habit of setting fire to
it was quite a quiet road.
Things in the garden of your house.
But at one point, this guy drove around the bend.
You're not a pyrotechnic expert, are you?
Actually, I love fires. But this guy comes driving around the corner. It was quite a steep bend, and he was going a bit fast. And suddenly, just hit this wall of smoke, and you could just hear him go, putting the brakes on. Fortunately, nothing happened.
Well, thank God for that.
But I was a bit concerned about that. No, but anyway, no. The point is,
what are they called? Guys who go around setting fire to things.
Arsonists.
Arsonists. That's right. Yeah, the
well,
arsonists.
That's if you're doing it as a criminal activity. I'm just burning leaves.
Old MG, the arsonist, eh?
No, I'm just burning leaves. Anyway, let's talk about something else, because I'm sure that people are fed up listening to my stories of pyrotechnics. I want to ask you about this, because I think you've had some of this.
Right.
Patients can watch their favourite TV shows or films on high-tech goggles during surgery. There was a piece in one of the papers yesterday. Now, apparently, you can not only do that, but you can watch, if you wanted to, you can watch your own surgery.
I've done that.
You've done that?
I've done that. I've done that in Harefield Hospital, where you're lying on a...
Hey, is Harefield Hospital, by the way? Is that in like North London?
It's in Middlesex.
Yeah, because I've literally was, you know where I got the dog from?
Yes.
It's right next to it, near Uxbridge.
Yes, that's right. It's near Uxbridge.
Because I literally, I thought I was having some kind of weird paranormal experience.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, I think I just got off the phone to you, and I went to do a 3-point turn in this road, and it said Harefield Hospital.
Yeah, there's a roundabout.
And I thought, this is where Porky, there's a fishing shop, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a roundabout.
I was there on Saturday.
A pub, a fishing shop.
That is so weird.
And a green space opposite, and that's Harefield Hospital, which saved my life, actually.
I took the kids to that little park.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I had to go and do a 3-point turn, and I thought, this can't be the Harefield Hospital.
It is. It's the Harefield Hospital.
That's given me the spook.
Where I was resident for 7 months, awaiting a heart transplant. Anyway, I'm lying on the old, bed or stretcher or something, and
Stretcher.
and they what they did was they put a tube up into my thigh, and that runs through all the arteries right up to your heart, and then it starts...
They do like a balloon thing or something, don't they?
No, this was actually a camera to find out just how badly damaged my heart was.
Right.
And the second one, which had a little snipper on the end to cut bits of,
I don't know.
dead muscle away and all that kind of stuff, or something like that, I don't know. But I saw it all.
This is the same experience that you then explained to a load of German scientists.
Yes, that's right, yes.
You're a bit more specific than that.
No, not really, because there was a doctor
cutting
standing
away all
next
this
to me who
stuff.
explained what all the procedure was when
okay.
I did that lecture to German doctors to tell them why I was still alive, which is a miracle. And no, it's a miracle survival. And the doctors asked me to go over, and I said, yeah, okay. But anyway, the point is, you can lie there and you can see your heart going in and out. And in fact, the problem with my heart is it goes out, doesn't come back in. That's the slight difficulty with mine compared to yours.
Yeah.
And you're watching it all, and it's absolutely fascinating.
A bit like that guy that's reminded me of that guy Bob McGarrett, who used to be the sort of Kent correspondent for the Daily Express. Do you remember? He used to call him
Bob, yeah, I know.
He used to call him the Olympic Flame because he never went out.
No, he never went out. That's right, absolutely. He did everything from home. And by the way, I don't like you talking ill of the dead. Poor old Bob, I'm afraid, passed away through the cancer about 2 years
Another
ago.
guy that spent too much time in your company, I think.
Well, maybe. Do you know what?
It's dropping like flies.
It's amazing. All my old mates at the Daily Express, Bob, Norman Luck, Michael O'Flaherty, they all died within a few months of each other about 2 years ago. It was very tragic.
Very tragic indeed. Anyway, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mike. Porky Parry will be back on Thursday night, going into Friday morning. We'll have loads more to do then, of course.